Good morning. In a few minutes, a report, or rather a vicious compilation of lies bashing the only liberal democracy in the Middle East, will be presented in the third committee. This is not the first time that the UN has been used as a weapon to condemn Israel, and sadly, it won't be the last. But this time, the UN and its bodies have hit a new law. The Commission of Inquiry report being presented is a one-sided, terror whitewashing and morally bankrupt document that does nothing remotely productive for the Palestinians or the region. In fact, it only makes matters worse. It shows the terrorists of Hamas and Islamic Jihad, the true oppressors of the Palestinian people, that terror pays off. The report fails to even mention Hamas, the designated terror organization, or their thousands of indiscriminately fired rockets. In order to emphasize this deliberate omission, I am bringing today to the committee the parents of Ido Avigal, a 5-year-old Israeli boy who was murdered by a Hamas rocket. I wonder how the commissioners will be able to look into the eyes of parents whose son's murder they knowingly choose to ignore. This supposedly impartial commission of inquiry had one purpose from the start, and it wasn't to investigate the underlying roots of the conflict. The sole purpose of this report, its authors, and the very commission itself is to demonize and delegitimize the one and only Jewish state. You know, there's a word for the racist hatred of Jews: anti-Semitism. Last May, the so-called Human Rights Council once again voted to establish a commission of inquiry against Israel. I say once again because 30% of the council's established COIs targeted Israel, a law-abiding democracy. But this is par for the course for the council. After all, it had condemned Israel more times than it's condemned Syria, Iran, and North Korea combined. It's clear that the Council has an obsession with Israel, which constantly comes at the account of the words true human rights violations. Look at which countries on the Council voted in favor of establishing this shameful COI against a robust democracy. If you were wondering whether the free countries on the Council, who are a minority, by the way, were the ones who voted in favor of establishing this libelous body, then think again. Libya, Somalia, Cuba, Venezuela, Russia, China were among the member states pushing for this inquisition. Meanwhile, nearly every liberal democracy on the Council chose not to support it. This alone speaks volume. Just as we heard President Biden yesterday expresses his strong condemnation of the COI and the damage it causes. Yet, aside from the hypocrisy behind the Commission's establishment, the choice of commissioners was the nail in the coffin. The commissioner's sole purpose was to attack Israel, and what better way to do so than to hire 3 blatant Israel haters who would ensure this outcome. The members of the COI were not chosen for their investigative skills. They were chosen specifically for their very public and very poisonous hatred of Israel. They were chosen precisely because they abhor the Jewish state. Ms. Pillay openly calls Israel an apartheid state. Mr. Sidoti is an acclaimed friend and ally of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian Authority. And Mr. Kotari is such an open anti-Semite that he couldn't keep his poisonous Jew-hating opinions to himself. This is impartiality? This is objectivity? This commission is a mockery, and so is their report of falsehoods. This report gives terror a free pass, and when you give a terror a free pass, you promote terror. So beyond endangering Jews with their overt anti-Semitism, these commissioners bolster violent attacks against Israelis. The time has come for this institution to stop endorsing anti-Semites and to stop endorsing terrorists. Maybe, only maybe, the UN could learn from Adidas when it comes to hiring blatant anti-Semites. Thank you.
Ambassador, could we ask you a question about the other news of the day, which is the deal between...
Sorry, not now.
The deal between...
After the committee discussion. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry.